Welcome to The Walk with me, Masi Munyange. I went to see a friend of mine at their office, and as we stood at the parking speaking and chatting, a man came and interrupted us with a greeting. Habari yenu? Tafadhali naomba mnipatie dakika chache. Meaning, how are you? I'm kindly requesting a few minutes of your time. He went on to introduce himself as John, and he narrated how he has 3 kids, lives in Kibera, he was a tailor, and at this time, which was approaching 3 p.m., he hadn't made any money. And so he decided to walk around asking anyone who would listen to him to give him money to feed his children. As a man, he wouldn't want to see his children sleep hungry. He shared his story on how, due to the impact of the pandemic, work had declined, and some days he resorted to begging, and it's not what he desired for himself, but he is forced to do so because of his children and young family. As we listened to him speak, I looked at him, and he looked like a relatively decent person. His story seemed to make sense. And my friend who had cash on them gave John and encouraged him to seek alternative sources of income, like approaching a car wash and asking for work, or cooking food and hawking it. Well, he was receptive to the idea. So why do I share this story? It's so that we can be reminded that we must do it afraid. Our life's walk may not always present a clear path. Some days, even when we know what to do, we may be faced with challenges that hinder us from progress. Some days, even our circumstances begin to present themselves negatively. Nothing works. But we must be reminded that we shall keeping on. Aluta, continua. Encourage ourselves that tomorrow will be better than today. You never change your life until you step out of your comfort zone. Change begins at the end of your comfort zone. I am doing it afraid. I have not figured out my entire future. I have figured out today. The podcast, to share my walk with you, my journey. I do not know what this walk will be like, where it will take me, the meandering roads within my walk. All I know is I have to keep walking. So whereas this podcast seems to share my career journey with you, with the aim of encouraging many youths to explore what they're passionate about, it is with a full realization that the walk is a journey. And in the journey, there are different facets that make this up. The physical, the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual. And I will be talking and engaging all these areas and much more with the aim of encouraging one to pursue their walk, to do it afraid. It's taken me many months to start this podcast because I want to have everything ready. I want to sound a certain way. I prepare, I plan, prepare, plan. My producer and executive producer reminded me that I cannot be perfect, and I will learn as the days go by. So, yes, I am doing it afraid. I am taking my own advice, and I am doing it afraid. The ones who brought change are those that did it, not those that thought it and did nothing about it. Have you ever thought of shooting your shot at something or someone and felt that you were not good enough? Or have you ever thought of shooting your shot at something or someone but were too afraid to do it? And after some time, you asked yourself, what if I tried? Yes, it's good to dream, but have the courage to live out your dream. You may not have the capital to start the business or the networks, the know-how. But this is one thing I do know, that once you set your mind on doing it afraid and pursuing passion, then things work out miraculously. It's at this time you begin to see God ordering each and every step you take. What do I want you to take out of this? What do you need to do? What have you been saying you need to do and have not gotten around to doing it? What is hindering you? Most of us say, sina pesa, I don't have money. Or, I'm waiting for another deal to come through, then I'll begin this. For me, I'll say this. do it afraid. These are my fasts that I needed to do to be where I am today. And I did them afraid. Most of us desire to own and drive a Porsche car. I was no different. But first, I had to start somewhere. I didn't have a driving license. I didn't even know how to drive a car. I did it afraid. As Martin Luther King once said, take the first step in faith. You don't have to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step. Well, I was no different. I desired to drive and own a car. But I had to do it afraid. I had to take the first step by learning how to drive, acquiring a driver's license. Even though I did not know how to buy a car, the process of purchasing a car, or the cost of buying the car. This was my first that I had to explore afraid. Then I began to take the first step by enrolling in a driving school, showing up and learning how to drive. It was scary, but I needed to learn how to drive. This was my gateway to owning a car. And as I went through the lessons, it became exciting. I could see the possibility of owning a car. I could see the possibility of myself driving in the roads of Nairobi. And then the time came for me to sit for my exam that would then require me to get a driver's license. It was nerve-wracking, but I went in afraid. Ultimately, I got a driver's license, and therein began the journey to owning a car.